Hey everyone, this is Joe from BitBang, and today I'm going to be showing you how to be updating the firmware for the communication engine. This video is part of the video series for the TKO. So if you're interested in other kind of features or any kind of functions that it can do, go ahead and click around. But for this one specifically, I'll be showing you how to update the firmware for the communication engine. So the TKO, if you look at it here, this here is the ESP32, and as a reminder, the communication engine handles things like Wi-Fi, it can handle Bluetooth, it handles the lock buttons, the data here, the stick mode, it grabs all the inputs. It does a lot of things, except for the actual emulation for the USB. That's handled by a different chip, and we'll show how to update that firmware in a different video. But for this one, your app will tell you the communication engine firmware upgrade. So if you pressed or clicked or touched that icon on the app, it'll bring you to this video. So when you go ahead and update it, you want to go ahead and plug into this port here called the USB. You want to make sure everything else is unplugged. You don't want to have it plugged into your computer or to a console or anything like that, but you want to have a USB mini, pardon, a USB micro to a regular USB port, the rectangular ones, to your PC, and you don't want to have this connected, and you don't want to have this connected. Only this one right here is the one you want connected. So once you go ahead and do that, your TKO board will power up, and it'll be advertising like usual, but we're going to have it be put into a mode where you could do a firmware upgrade. So that's how you set it up to get upgraded. Now, the next thing you're going to need is a flashing tool that's created by Espressif, which is the manufacturer of the ESP32. So what you'll do is go to our website, bitpengaming.com, go to resources, and then if you look here, we have a link called firmware files. Click on that, and you'll see all the firmware files we have in production so far. This is the TKO, so you want to go into technical KO folder right here, and you'll see two different folders. Let's first download this, which is the flash download tool. We're going to download this right here. Okay, and once it's done scanning for viruses, we'll go from there. Okay, and then while we're here, we're going to download the actual firmware for the TKO. So let's download that here. All right. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and take a look. You'll find that we just downloaded these two right here. So here's the flash download tool. Let's go ahead and unzip that. And mind you, this tool only works for Windows, and they only manufacture for Windows. You'll have to do the flash upgrading on Windows. In the future, I will be trying to have it so you can flash everything over Wi-Fi, and we won't have to do any of this. But right now, this is the primary source for upgrading the firmware for the TKO's communication engine. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and extract files for the firmware. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead into Flash Download Tool. And here it is. This is the executable. So open this up. You might get this little prompt. The only reason why this is showing up is because Windows is trying to protect us from running malicious software, which usually comes in the form of an exe file. So to get around this, just go to More Info, go to Run Anyway, and it should just start right up. So you'll see these two windows come up, this strange black window, and then this little mini small window. And we're going to go ahead and select the chip type to be ESP32S3, and it's going to be develop for work mode. And for load mode, we're going to be using USB. Remember, we're plugging into the USB port here, not the UART port, and not this output USB port for actually playing games. So that'll be USB. You'll hit OK. And then you'll get this very strange looking menu here. Every single time we do something in this menu, it'll show up in this black window. So for example, we're going to be uploading the firmware here. But before we do that, just make sure that you're at 40 or 80 megahertz. It doesn't matter which one. But sometimes it won't work on 40, just try it on 80. So for this one, we're going to just put on 80 to make it as fast as possible. For the SPY mode, you want to select DIO. You want to make sure that this checkbox here is filled for do not change bin. And that should be everything. So you're going to see these 3 little dots here. You're going to click on that. If you noticed, it went ahead and showed I just did some sort of action. We're going to navigate to the downloads folder. And right here to the firmware. And you'll notice that there's 4 firmware files, each for their own purpose. I won't get into the actual specifics, but we're going to need them. So let's go ahead and select bootloader. We're going to open that. And then we're going to go ahead and select partition table. And then we're going to select the OTA data initial. And then finally, we're going to select the firmware, the application code for the TKO. And I'm going to expand this just to make it easier to read. Okay, so we have now the 4 firmware files. We just gotta specify the location to write it on, and you'll see if I click on this, it'll say 1 kill, 2 kill, which is pretty interesting. We're gonna go ahead and put the locations in. You can go to the manual, or you can just look at the location right here. It's this 0x number, so it's 0x0 for this one. Just go ahead and copy that, paste it in there. Take it for here, paste it in there. Take it from here, and so on. Okay. Just verify that this number here matches the number here that's prefixed for the file name. So 0x0, 0x8000, 0xD000, and 0x10000. Go ahead and click all these. This goes ahead and tells the tool that we want to flash all these files, which you have to do every time. And finally, we got to select the COM port. And sometimes you'll have a bunch of COM ports, sometimes just one. The easiest way to find out which COM port is to go ahead and look in Device Manager. And you're going to be searching under ports, COM, and LPT. And you'll see all the COM ports listed here, 1, 8, 9, and 16. You don't want this one called communications or standard serial. You want this one called USB serial device. If you're not too sure if this really is it, you could always unplug it. It'll go away. If you plug it in again, it'll come back. But usually it'll just be called USB serial device. Chances are you'll have something else the same name is pretty low. But if you do, go ahead and just unplug it from the, when I say unplug it, you could unplug this over here. You could unplug it and then plug it back in. And now we're going to go ahead and select COM16 in here. So COM16. You can leave this baud number to be this. And we're going to press start. And you'll see that it's doing some uploading here. You're going to see it writing to actual locations in memory and flashing it over here. And once it's done, it'll say finish. You can go ahead and just press stop just to make sure it's done. And what you do is go ahead and just unplug this and plug it back in, and it should be all flashed. And that's it. Once you go ahead and go back into your app, you should see that that button disappear for uploading the firmware. Just a reminder, you have to close out the app in order for it to read the data in from the internet again. So make sure the app is completely closed out and you're starting from fresh, and you should be able to see that firmware fully updated. And that's it. See you next video.